King, and we're going to go over some strategies that you've learned perhaps in second grade, third grade, or even first grade. This book is called A Chair for My Mother. And one strategy we do, we look at the cover, we look at the title, and we make predictions to see what the story is going to be about. What is your prediction on what the story is going to be about?
Like, because it looks like they're like in a restaurant, sort of. So, maybe she's gonna buy a chair for her mom so she doesn't have to stand up and do all the work.
Okay, good. What do you think?
I think since there's a lot of people there, maybe they babysitting on something for the mom.
Okay, maybe setting up something for the mom. All right, and also this symbol right here is an award, meaning that this book won the Caldecott Honor Award. So this is an award-winning story. All right, let's go and see what this story is about, and we also will be going through different strategies that we learned. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss Josephine gives me a job too. I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. One time I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all her change for the tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired she falls asleep while I count the money out into piles. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she has only a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. What kind of connections do you have so far to this story?
I have a connection with the jar and the money.
Okay.
So back in the trailer where I used to live, we would have a jar that every time we did something bad, we had to put some of our allowance in there. And every single month, that jar would be full.
So you are doing lots of bad things if the jar get full because you're doing, oh my goodness, that's an interesting way to save money. All right, any connections you want to share?
Yeah. Sometimes my mom comes home after work, picks us up and goes home, and she fills up this jar with some of her money and keeps some in her purse. And then sometimes she'll be so tired she just goes on the bed first before making us anything.
So your mom does the same thing as the mother in this story. Interesting. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. Sound like they're saving every penny. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take all the money and go and buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. Wow, I am shocked. Did y'all even think that it was going to be something with a fire and related to this chair?
No. I have a connection with the fire.
What's your connection?
I was microwaving up some macaroni, and the macaroni caught on fire, and I opened it and took it out, and then I dropped it on my teddy bear, and it set the teddy bear on fire, but luckily my brother Damien was playing with the fire extinguisher, so he grabbed it. And
That could end up being very dangerous. So, wow, I had no idea that the connection with the chair has to do with a fire. Yes.
One time my brother was making waffles. He didn't pay attention to the time because it's kind of hard because there's no arrow on the tip where you time it. And then he made the waffles. There was smoke all over the house. There was almost a fire. And then his waffles clothes were so burned.
Yes, so those connections that you're making help connect to the story. So awesome connections.
My teddy bear.
My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals. She had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips, and I was saying I like yellow ones. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's here. She's okay, don't worry." Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. Yes.
I have a feeling they're either telling us how their house burned down last time.
Yes, you
or
see how
it's
the story
going
went,
again.
yes, you see how it went back to talk about the house? Okay. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream, and they brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, brought pots and pans, silverware, and dishes. My cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You all are the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over." Also, we make text-to-text connection. Does anybody know another story where everybody came together to help? What text-to-text connection?
Stone soup.
Stone soup. Yes. What other connection? You can tell us. You can say it.
Red party jazz.
Red Party Jazz. 2 stories we read in 4th grade. Yes, awesome. Personal connection and text-to-text connections help you understand a story. That is awesome. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet, she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the corn started to go into the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. Wow, that jar is getting there, right? After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them all up. On my Mother's Day off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took the bus downtown to shop for our chair. My connection is we used to get the paper rolls and wrap our coins in it. We used to do that a lot when I was younger. Hold it up. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks in the 3 Bears trying out all the chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the drawer was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. Yes.
One time we filled up our jar, and then we went to Food House, and there was this machine. My mom put all the coins there, And then I think we got actually $10 out of it.
Yes, I'm glad you pointed out. We had to do it the old way and use paper wrapping to wrap our coins, but now there is a coin machine where you just dump it in there and they give you the money. Good connection.
ATM.
Not an ATM, it's just a coin machine. And you take that to the desk and they give you cash, dollar bills.
Oh, the ones that I found that had like holes in it and they separated it and it was so cool.
Oh.
I can't.
Okay, we almost to the end. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. She wanted to sit in the chair in the back of the truck. That would not be safe, would it?
Unless the chair has a seatbelt.
It got balcony.
We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. The end. Then on the back, it has, when the jar is full, we're going to buy a chair, the most beautiful, fat, soft armchair in the